Okay, what I want to show you here, we've already done some steel shots of this one, but I want to talk about some things that we do and why we do it. On this one, I kind of taper it like a high voltage splice, and if you notice when I pull my shielding back, I left my separator, the red separator, and I take my shielding back behind it. Another thing I always do, if you notice, there's little pigtails on all of these. That way you can just reach and get them and unroll them. You don't have to play with it and pick at it. All right, now, in the new GLF2, what I've done is added a clause in it to where you can put your printed tape over top of your conductor. Now the reason we do that, the old ones, that wasn't in it. So what would happen, your shielding would bed itself down in the raw rubber, and it would actually move to, would deteriorate itself, and it actually lose its woven effect and come open on you. So by coming up here in this next one, what I've showed you, we come in here and we've tied our separator here and here in with the printed tape. Now watch this. When you put your shielding in it, see how smooth it is? It allows it to move as that cable bends as you pull it around the corners or drag it. It lets it slide. Where down here, you see it won't, so it won't destroy itself. Then the other thing, you see, you just tie your separator together. And what I want to do now is show you a way I've come up with in putting this together. See, I leave enough shielding so it'll pull right back up over the edge. I try to leave quite a bit. And see, we're leaving that little pigtail, you can always reach and get a hold of it. All right, now see, I've got the shielding pulled up here, and it's actually starting to go up on the taper. What you want to do is take your shielding. All right, now what I'll do is cut this about 8 or 10 inches. You won't be able to see it probably on the movie. I'll try to get it right here. Just like you're going to tie your shoes. And what you want to do is get you a couple fine wires so you can work with it. All right, now what I normally do is just come right in here, loop it one time, work it down good, go under it, loop it again, bring it back up, same thing on top, and I'll put me a square knot in it. Now you can either pull these out here and leave them or cut them off. I like to cut them off because it just makes more bulk in the splice. And by having a square knot in it, you see, it can't get loose. All right, then I take my shielding, try to keep everything here to where you can see it. All right, you want to bring your shielding all the way back, plumb to your insulation if you can, because if that moves about 1/8 of an inch, the tick tracer will go off on you and you got to open it up. All right, now see, I've got my knot up here. I'm all the way back on it. I'm pulling it down nice and tight. And then this 2-inch braid lets you overlap it by 1 inch. And so by overlapping at least 1 inch, you don't have to worry about it ever sliding apart on you. Pull it nice and snug. And there again, you can see how it slides on your printed tape. When you get out your shielding on the other end, just pull it up tight, go down over it, get you 2 or 3 layers. Then again, you just take your blade, 8 or 10 inches. It's like you want to tie your shoes. All right, now something I do right here, watch this real close. You can take either one of these strands and keep going with it. All right, I usually go around about 2 to 3 layers. All right, see, that way when I pull the other one back the opposite, see, it holds it in place. And see how nice and tight you can get that? And once you did that in the opposite direction, then you do the same things you did earlier. Just tight, under and over, then on top get you a nice square knot on it. Okay. Now you see that we got a nice taper in there where the connector is. Now what I want to do is show you in putting the connectors on. Remember earlier we talked about putting this thing together using a parallel connector and using a butt connector. All right, now this is the parallel method. We did that earlier. We showed you how we got this twist in it. But see, you got 2 in here. See the difference in the size of the 2 of them? So what I want to show you is why we've gone to this one. Everybody uses this in a 2300 volt, but very few people use it on the 995. All right, now I want to show you something getting this thing ready. When you put these butt connectors together, you pull your splice up, get it pretty tight, nice and snug. You know, you can only do so much, but when you're putting them together and you're getting ready to measure it, put one finger, you want a finger's width of slack between your grounds and your phases or between your monitor and your phases. And when you do that, one end will be cut. Say this is one more cut. I can put my fingernail right up on it, pull out where I want it with my finger, earn it. You see, that's how much slack you want. Then you cut it and put it together. All right, now watch what happens when you put your twist back in it. If you get it too short, it's going to pull down between your phases, and if you get it too long, it's going to lay up on it. But all right, now see, you can only get so much in the mines. Now I realize that. But the cable people say that if you don't put it back, you can lose as much as 25% of your strength. All right, now look how that lays down in there. See how your monitor just fits between the two? See how this fits right down in it? Then when you tape it up, everything is in its order. Now one thing I wanted to show you, we talked about earlier when we talked about turning the printed tape upside down before we put this on. You see how it lets it move? All right, what you want to do is put it back like the factory. Now look at this inside. You see it looks just like a snake skin. You see the snake skin here? You can see your pilot wire here, how slick it is. See your ground wire over here? That's what you want to come up with. You want to put this thing back as close to the factory as you can. So by taking your 2221, your line is high voltage now, and putting over it, I always start with keep the tacky side up and the smooth side down. You get basically the same effect. But what happens, you can probably see it if the camera will pick up on it. You'll get the same effect on the inside of that tape. You see a little bit right there? Same effect that you get right here. And after it wears a while, it's identical. It just isn't as drastic. You can still get back into it if you want to cut it open, just like you did this one here. When you cut down to it, you just follow your monitor all the way around, and it'll open up. Actually, it'll open up a little bit easier in the factory, and you don't have any printed tape in it. And again, according to 75604, you have to follow the manufacturer's recommendations. So if you don't do that, you can actually end up with a violation. I think that's pretty much all I want to show you on this, and we've already tapered the ends. I showed you how to clean it back, how to put your material on it, and make sure you clean it and rough it. That right there is the most important thing you can use to make your splice. I think that's it. Thank you. Okay, this is the other way of doing the monitor. The lights I showed you didn't have any outer jacket on it. This one you skin it like we did the flat cable, and you come over here and taper the ends. Then you taper your ring, same way, just nice and oval. Slide it up in it. All right, what you want to do is catch this on the outside. It's going to be a little bit hard to do here, but you take this thing and bite it down. All right, now you see how much you got sticking out here? Ideally, what we want to do is grab that part and work it right down with your pliers. And I'm hoping I'll hold it here to where you can see it. And you see, by catching just on the outside and keep moving it over, see you're tightening it up here and you pull it back nice and tight. All right, once you get this pinched down, then what you want to do is take this and turn them over. I hope you can see here. All right, use your dikes or something heavy. All right, now see that tightens this even more right through here, and you can see how this pigtail is sticking out. All right, then once you get it to where you want it, you just take your channel locks and roll it right on down flat. All right, let's see, we've got all our conductors together. You can see the way we put this thing over. You got jacket through all the way both sides. This will stop a lot of your flexing or your braking. So you might want to try that. Remember, you have to use a large connector so you can get this little peel back on it right here. Hope that helped you. Okay, what I want to show you here is the way I put the monitors together. Again, I take that thing and I just oval shape it. I skin this back, put it up, center it. Some people like to make them long, some like to make them short. But if you notice, this connector is large, and you just kind of open your leads up a little bit. Take your channel locks, and where the little indent is in your channel locks, you just reach right in there and take it, bite it down. Get it nice and tight. And once you do that, you can come up here and catch it. Let me get my larger pliers. This is a bigger one. You catch it and squeeze it back down. You see what a nice round crimp you get that way? And you can work it a little bit, make it even rounder if you want to. But that's the way you do that one. Okay, now we're looking at just jacket damage. If you see I've got this one opened up a little bit, pulled back, we can see the conductors, they're all right, there's no damage down there. So now I'm going to show you how to open the jacket up and properly install this one. So that'll be our next step. Okay, I've already taken the outer jacket off, I've already trimmed it, I've egg shaped it. All I do is just come in here with my knife and cut it down to where I'm getting to it, then oval it around, make it nice and smooth so it don't have any rough corners. Then take your rasp, you can see I've cleaned this one up real good. Now before you start that, but we wasn't on the film, all the kits come with a wet and a dry chemical cleaner with it's already got the ozone protection in it. And we got a piece of sandpaper, so use that before you do any of this, but since I've already prepped this, I haven't done that yet. Alright, now once you get it to this point, what you want to do is start waterproofing it. So you take your piece of your 2619. Now you see this one right here, we can start this way and then we can come wide. So what we'll do, cut us a piece big enough to cut that hole. And I like to put my first one in kind of on an angle. See, I got the points at the low areas. Alright, then I'll come across here and get me another one roughly the same size. And I'll put it in square. Alright, see that kind of fills up that little low area where we did the taper on it. Now see this one we need to make it longer. We'll put it just the opposite direction. So see how we're filling that up by just cutting squares off and putting little pieces in. Now see we need to come out here a little bit more. So we'll go with just a little bit longer one. Alright, now I'll take this one like I did the first one and kind of put it on an angle so that you get the peaks coming out here and down. Then I'll take the other one just in the opposite direction. Alright, see we're putting that in that way. I've got it nice and fat in the center so as it gets warm, gets pressure on it and smooths out, then it'll come out and smooth out. Now what we want to do is get us a complete roll and start taping it to building it up good. 2 or 3 layers is all we need at this point because we've got it high. What I'm going to do is start right in this low area right here. Back out a little bit. And you can work your tape around this back and forth to get it as round as you want it, nice and smooth. And all you want to do is just cover your damaged area with this because the outer jacket's going to do the remainder. Now see I've been pulling this pretty tight. It's hard to break it. Okay, see now that's just a little bit fat, but you remember it's going to move around. Once you get some amperage on it, get it good and warm, start dragging it over something heavy, it's going to start moving. Alright, then you take your outer jacket, just like we did before, back up about the width of the jacket, lock it down, come around. And see I started that so you can see it, come over it and lock it. See the way I mean by locking it, just over so there's nothing starts sticking out where it can hang on anything. Then as you come around it, what you want to do is follow your mastic on the outside so you get your half lap all the time. See that gives you a nice smooth flow. Keeps it built up. You got 2 thicknesses there so it's not going to wear off as easy. And again, when you get it as far as you want it, go up about 6 inches, cut back towards your boot, then reach up here and pull it off. Again, you don't want to drop down against the mastic and not be where it's supposed to. Then as you come around, you see that little pigtail will lay right down in that mastic area. Then again, take your printed tape. Now a lot of people pull this tape tight when they put it on. All you want to do is pull it just enough to get it off of the roll. Back down, build it up a little bit till you got a nice smooth taper. Alright, now when you get down to the end, you got 1 layer, you start back. Alright, go to the other end, do the same thing, and you're finished, ready to go. 4 or 5 layers, back up on it. Just get you a nice taper right at the end of it. And we're done, ready to put it back in the cold. See what a nice smooth flow you got on there, and it just gets smooth as it goes.